the inner planets into a state of all-out war.
More ships, more war, more death. You and DAWES want to join that party?
The idea is to prevent exactly that.
Ah, yes, a deterrent. But everything becomes a weapon, Freddy. Didn't you teach me that?
Welcome back, guys. So The Expanse is back with its third season, and the premiere was really good. Now, as opposed to other TV series, The Expanse premiere is always extremely eventful, but nonetheless, and as usual with The Expanse, the major events, or the pretty eventful episodes, the really eventful ones, come halfway through the season, or at the very end of the season. Like with Season 1, it was the 10th episode, and with Season 2, it was the 5th and the 13th episode, with the 5th episode marking the end of the Eros arc, or pretty much the fake end of the Eros arc. That was as well the very end of the events of the very first book in the series, Leviathan Wakes. Now, with episode 6 of the second season, we started the events of Caliban's War, the second book in the series. So if I were to go by how they've been doing things so far, how they did things with the first book, I would say that the events of the second book on the series would come to a conclusion around the time we hit episodes 5, 6, or maybe 7. So do expect that things are gonna peak around then, and based on the events of the second novel, do expect that things are gonna get amazing. Like, you're gonna pretty much get one hell of a surprise by the time we hit the ending of this book. So the events of the premiere of Season 3 are fueled by what happened to the Arbogast at the very end of Season 2, which is pretty much exploding right above the Eros crater on Venus. As the episode starts, the proto-molecule has become public knowledge, a war is about to be waged, and not too long into the episode, the war has actually been waged between Earth on one hand and Mars on the other hand. So number one, I think my favorite part about this episode was about the relationship between Fred Johnson on one hand and Drummer on the other hand. But before I get started with the Drummer part, let's talk that message Fred Johnson sent to Anderson Dawes. So first off, based on this one tweet by the actor who used to portray the character of Anderson Dawes on the series, we do know that he's not returning for Season 3. So anything that's gonna happen on Season 3 that has something to do with Anderson Dawes is gonna have to happen without him actually making a physical appearance on screen. But nonetheless, that message that Fred Johnson sent Anderson Dawes on the premiere of Season 3, that has everything to do with CORTAZAR. You know, that scientist from Season 2 that Fred Johnson had under lock and key, let's call him that proto-molecule scientist who ended up being abducted from under Fred Johnson's nose by Anderson Dawes. But nonetheless, Fred Johnson has got that proto-molecule sample that Naomi kinda gifted him, the one she gave him the coordinates to, and he needs someone to actually weaponize it for him, give the Belters a chance at having a seat at the table, and pretty much the only person who can do that for him is CORTAZAR. But number two, we are seeing a major change to Fred Johnson's character. I mean, we did see that change start on Season 2, when he abducted those missiles going after Eros, those earthly missiles, and kept it to himself. This change though, it's pretty major. This man is about to weaponize one of the most dangerous things in the universe, that being the proto-molecule. But that though does bring us to number 3. So Drummer is back, baby. I know a lot of you guys kind of have crushes on her. But nonetheless, Drummer has a code that Fred Johnson is just forgetting about, and she's angry. She is definitely upset that he's getting in bed with Anderson Dawes, and I would assume she's not really happy with him trying to weaponize the proto-molecule. Now, I did admire that conversation that she does have with Fred towards the end. He pretty much wants her to get him back to Nauvoo, but not for the purpose of pleasing the Mormons, making peace with them. But instead, he wants to repurpose it, make it into a warship, just like he did in the books. Now, without going into any spoilers out of the books or from the books, I think what the show is doing at the moment is they're making Drummer into, or setting her up to become, Michio Pa from the novels. Now, if I remember correctly, Michio Pa makes her first appearance in the novels either close to the end of Caliban's War or on Abaddon's Gate, the third novel out of this series. Now, once again, and without spoiling anything out of the novels, I was thinking two other characters out of the novels here, two characters that could suit the character of Drummer as of now, the character of Drummer going forward into this entire Nauvoo arc. Thinking about it though, I did start realizing that she's more of a fit to become Michio Pa on the series, pretty much because of this rift or this partial fallout happening between her and Fred Johnson. But number 4 though, we've got Errinwright back on Earth doing his shit as usual. He's back to his good old games. He wants a war, he doesn't want peace, and he's acting like he's got no clue where Avasarala happens to be. Now just to refresh your memory, at the end of Season 2, he did order Jules, Pierre, and Mao to clean up his shit, clean up his mess, and that mess that needed cleanup included CORTAZAR, Avasarala, and Bobby Draper. But nonetheless, that did not happen then, and it ain't happening now. But number 5, Sadavir Errinwright as usual is hungry for war, and he does get what he wants, which I mentioned early on this video. A war is declared by the UN on the Martian Republic. So yeah, Errinwright won, but the funny thing over here is this is the kind of thing that Bobby Draper would have wanted on Season 2, the old Bobby Draper that is. But as of this moment, I'm waiting to watch how the series is gonna handle her reaction to finding out a war has been started. Number 6, we get to see Errinwright waiting for a confirmation that Avasarala has been dealt with, but obviously he's not getting that at all. So he goes for blaming Avasarala or accusing Avasarala of everything that he's done so far, working with Mao, the Eros experiment, the disaster that in his own words, he did unleash himself. So pretty much Avasarala is facing a lot of trouble at the moment. Now I haven't watched the trailer of episode 2 yet, but I think she's gonna be meeting Jim Holden on that episode, so pretty much I'm looking forward to that, and I think that's gonna work magic for both her and for Jim Holden. Now I will circle back to Avasarala, Draper, and CORTAZAR in a moment here, but before I do so, let's talk the crew of the Rocinante and number 7. So Prax is still under the influence of that entire Caliban encounter, under the impression that she might as well have been his daughter. So he does harbor a lot of unhappiness and possibly a little bit of anger there, but nowhere close of course to the anger harbored by Holden. Just a quick reminder here though, Mei Ming is with Strickland and as far as we know she's still alive and still well, put to sleep in that pod that he put her in on the very final scene of Season 2. But number 8, the first time we see Alex and Amos, Alex is trying to make sure that the Rocinante family is kind of glued together. Amos on the other hand is kind of the same cynic we're used to, but nonetheless, obviously, all of them are very unhappy with what Naomi did. So of course you can imagine all of them not being happy with the idea that she suggests that they go to Tycho, seeking the help of Fred Johnson, the devil we know. Now Holden's anger is pretty explicable and understandable at that point. Moving on to number 9, Alex recording the message to his family. Should have called you after the Donager, but doing it now, better late than never. It just felt at that moment like some sort of a goodbye message. He's fearing for the possible demise of his family at the hands of that war that just got waged, but he's also definitely fearing his very own end. One thing though that is highlighted on that scene during the recording of that message is that this guy does care a lot for his family, but he does care for his Rocinante family a lot more. Like this is basically where he wants to be. Number 10 though, the Rocinante crew by the end of the episode is off to find answers about Prax's daughter. Holden just wants to do what he promised Prax he would do at the very beginning. He feels guilty and he insists on finding her if there were to be a chance to find her. Honestly though, on that scene, Naomi is like an absolute bitch. I mean, Alex and Amos are totally in. Amos clearly has developed a minor friendship with Prax. Alex is obviously into helping the guy, understanding the predicament with him having a kid himself. But Naomi doesn't care at all. She just cares for her own, she just cares for the belt, she just cares for what she gave Fred Johnson and for her own safety. But number 11, you've gotta love how Holden is getting real. Why try to avoid the proto-molecule falling into the hands of one person when it fell into the hands of almost everyone else, if not actually everyone else? And as he does state, it's out there now. So pretty much the obsession from Season 2 is now over, Holden is moving on, and all he cares for now is trying to do good, the kind of good that he needed to do in the first place, and to start with. But finally though, number 12. That scene where Avasarala and CORTAZAR had to part ways, that was just very touching. The man does make it seem like it's all about owing her deceased son a debt, but it is more. There is a friendship brewing there. The man does respect Avasarala and she respects him in return. She respects his willingness to sacrifice himself for her, and I just love that relationship. I love the entire dynamic between him, Draper, and Avasarala. I'm also loving that Draper suit, so if you want to get it for me on my birthday, I'd be really happy. But once again though, everything that happened with Avasarala at the end of Season 2 and at the beginning of Season 3, all of this puts her on a course to meeting with Holden for the very first time, and it is going to be amazing. But that being said though, let me know in the comments what you thought of the premiere of The Expanse. Let me know if you do think Drummer is on the road to becoming Michioppa from the novels. Let me know as well if you liked this video by dropping it a much appreciated like. And if that were to be the case and you did like the content of this video, make sure you subscribe and enable notifications as well. Until I see you next time though, thank you all for tuning in and have a great day.